Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are actually talking about various social media platforms and the Taliban because, quite frankly, we want to understand how the Taliban social media accounts are going to be handled now that they are no longer a fringe group and once again, after 20 years, back in control of Afghanistan, or as I should now call it, apparently the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. So, here's what's going on. With the Taliban now regaining control, basically social media companies are now forced to revisit their policies on pro-Taliban accounts, either trying to recruit new members from around the globe or spreading disinformation about the ongoing civil war. Obviously, they have essentially conquered the country again, but there are dissidents, and here we go. Now, with that, let's start with the various social media platforms that are out there and how they're handling it, and I want to start with Twitter. Now, according to the Wrap, Twitter will allow Taliban-affiliated accounts to continue using its platform despite its policies against glorification of violence and threats. Twitter said in a statement that it would, quote, continue to proactively enforce its rules on glorification of violence, platform manipulation, and spam, but they didn't say that they would suspend or ban any of the specific accounts. Mediaite pointed out that prominent Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid is still active on the site, and with over 300,000 followers, Mujahid is basically tweeting as recently as the 17th of August, yesterday. So that's a huge thing. So Twitter right now is looking at this, but Twitter is also saying that they essentially have to abide by the rules. You break the rules, we'll start banning you, but for now, the Taliban is on. Now, according to Newsweek rather, in some cases, Taliban spokespeople on Twitter are spreading outright misinformation about the events that were rapidly unfolding in Afghanistan, basically as they were claiming that the shift of power was simply a peaceful takeover, and we've seen video evidence, footage, and otherwise that it's simply not. It's been rather violent as they've sought retribution over those that helped the former Afghan government as well as the United States. So we'll see where this goes, but as of right now, they are allowed to tweet on Twitter. Moving on, let's talk about Facebook. And according to CNN, on Tuesday yesterday, Facebook reiterated its ban on accounts praising, supporting, or representing the Taliban on its platforms, which also include WhatsApp and Instagram, and they said that they would, quote, remove accounts maintained by or on behalf of the Taliban. And a company spokesperson said, the Taliban is sanctioned as a terrorist organization under U.S. law, and we have banned them from our services under our dangerous organization policies. Now, Facebook designates, quote-unquote, dangerous organizations into 3 tiers, with the first one being subjected to, quote, the most extensive enforcement. Entities in Tier 1 include terrorist, hate, and criminal organizations. That is currently how Facebook is treating them. And while the Taliban have basically been banned from Facebook's platform for years, Facebook didn't reveal exactly when those restrictions were put into place. And the Taliban recently, in the last couple of days, have actually accused Facebook of censorship. So there we go. Moving on, let's talk about the China-based TikTok, another very popular platform. According to CNBC, TikTok said yesterday, that they would not lift bans on the content that promotes the Taliban after, obviously, they took control of Afghanistan. They told CNBC that they consider the Afghan group, which has used social media platforms to project its messages for years, to be a terrorist organization. Now, the interesting part of this is because they're a Chinese-based company, they're owned by ByteDance Beijing. I'm curious to know if this will actually hold up now that the Chinese government appears to be cozying up to the Taliban due to the vast basically rare earth metals that they'd like to mine. There is apparently trillions of dollars in rare earth metals in Afghanistan, and so the Chinese government, through their Belt and Road Initiative, could bring censored internet to China. I actually have an article right now that should be published soon on that. But they could literally make the Taliban a $1 trillion organization by virtue of splitting the proceeds of all of those rare earth metals. So will TikTok continue that ban? If the Chinese government, needs a favor, TikTok will have to do it under Chinese law. And finally, I want to talk about specifically YouTube, not just Google itself, but YouTube. And this is coming from Reuters. YouTube said yesterday that it has long held a policy of not allowing accounts believed to be operated by the Taliban on its site, as social media companies obviously are facing questions about this. And so YouTube does not allow the Taliban either. So with the exception of Twitter, everybody appears to be banning or has been banning the Taliban, and that is not going to change as of right now, even though the Taliban are now officially a government entity as they run the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. And I think this is obviously a huge problem. What the media isn't reporting on, and this is also in part what my article is going to be on, is the fact that nobody's really talking about users in Afghanistan, meaning those citizens that have basically been the Gen Zers that have been on the TikToks and the Instagrams, basically posting that there, which I'm guessing the Taliban would consider illegal or apostasy or whatever they're going to call it. And that's a very serious problem, how we are now protecting those identities. Because those young people grew up in basically a free internet. Now they're going to get clamped down on it. And God forbid the Taliban is going to use that to start executing these people, which obviously is a fear. So if you're basically in Afghanistan right now, and I talked about this the other day as well, please make sure you're deleting your digital footprint. It's a huge thing. But right now, social media companies outside of Twitter, of all things, didn't see that coming, are not going to ban them, providing they play by Twitter's rules. Twitter will keep them on. If they don't, Twitter will ban. We will see what happens. We'll see if anything gets reversed. But that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, where I'm hopefully not banned, or YouTube as well, where I'm hopefully not banned. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please stay private. Thanks, everyone.